Hello again, girls and boys. We're a bit into George's Marvellous Medicine now. We're on chapter 4. We've met Grandma, not a very nice person, is she? And we have decided, or George, should I say, has decided that he's going to blow her up. An enormous explosion. Not a bad plan. Get rid of that horrible witchy smell. And he's started making medicine. He's been to lots of rooms, hasn't he? He's been to the kitchen and the bathroom, and he's put in shampoo and shoe polish and lots of other things, lots of nasty things to try and sort out that grandma making a fabulous medicine. Now he's decided to go somewhere else. Where do you think he might go next? Well, shall I tell you? He's got a great plan. He's going to go out to the sheds. Animal pills. At this point, George suddenly had an extra good wheeze, although the medicine cupboard in the house was forbidden. Nobody had ever said anything about the medicines that his father kept in the shed next to the hen house. The animal medicines, what about those? Nobody had ever told him that he mustn't touch those. Let's face it, George said to himself. Hairspray, shaving cream, shoe polish, they're all very well, and will no doubt cause some splendid explosions inside the old geezer. But what about what the magic mixture really needs now is a touch of the real stuff. Pills and tonics and medicines to give it punch, to give it real muscle. George picked up the heavy 3/4 full saucepan and carried it out the back door. He crossed the farmyard and headed straight for the shed alongside the hen house. He knew his father wouldn't be there. He was out haymaking in one of the meadows. George entered the dusty old shed and put the saucepan on the bench. Then he looked up at the medicine shelf. There were 5 big bottles. 2 were full of pills, 2 were full of runny stuff, and 1 was filled with powder. I'll use them all, George thought. Grandma needs them. Boy, does she need them. The first bottle he took down contained an orange-coloured powder. The label said, "For chickens, with foul pest and hen gripe. Sore beaks, gammy legs, egg trouble, bloodiness, or loss of feathers. Mix 1 spoonful with each bucket of feed." Well, George said aloud to himself as he tipped the whole bottle full. The old bird certainly won't be losing any feathers after she's had a dose of this. The next bottle he took down had about 500 gigantic, enormous purple pills. It said, "4 horses with horse throats," it said on the label. "The horse-throated horse should suck 1 pill twice a day." Grandma may not have a horse throat, George said, but she's certainly got a very sharp tongue. Maybe that'll cure it instead. And into the saucepan went 500 gigantic purple pills. Then there was a bottle of thick, yellowish liquid. "For cows, bulls and bullocks," the label said. "Will cure cowpox, cow mange, crumpled horns, bad breath, earache, toothache, headache, hoofache, tailache, and sore udders." "That grumpy old cow in the living room has every one of those rotten illnesses," said George. "She'll need it all." With a slop and a gurgle, the yellow liquid splashed into the now nearly full saucepan. The next bottle contained a brilliant red liquid. "Sheep it said on the label. For sheep with sheep rot and for getting rid of ticks and fleas, mix 1 spoonful into 1 gallon of water. Slosh it over the sheep. Caution, do not make the mixture any stronger or the wool will fall out of the animal and it shall be naked. By gum, said George, how I'd love to walk in and slosh it all over Grandma and watch the fleas and ticks go jumping off her. But I can't, I mustn't, so she'll have to drink it instead. He poured the bright red mixture into the saucepan. The last bottle on the shelf was full of pale green pills. Pig pills, the label announced. For pigs with pork prickles, tender trotitis, bristle blight and swine sickness, give 1 pill per day. In severe cases, give 2 pills. But no more than that, it will make the pig rock and roll. Just the stuff, said George, for that miserable old pig up there in the house. She'll need a very big dose. And he tipped in how many? All the pills, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, into the saucepan. There was an old stick lying on the bench that had been used for stirring paint. George picked it up and started to stir. He stirred his marvellous concoction. The mixture was thick as cream. He stirred and stirred. So many wonderful colours rose up from the depths and blended together. Pinks, greens, blues, yellows, browns. George went on stirring until it was all well mixed. But even then there were still hundreds of pills lying in the bottom that hadn't melted. And there was his mother's splendid powder puff floating on the surface. I can boil it all up, said George. 1 quick boil on the stove, it's all it needs. Then he staggered back towards the house with the enormous, heavy saucepan. On his way, he passed the garage. So he went in to see if he could find anything else to add. He added 1/2 pint of engine oil to keep Grandma's engine running smoothly, some antifreeze to keep her radiator from freezing in the winter, a handful of grease to grease her creaking joints, and then he went back to the kitchen. There he is, staggering. And that's the end of my chapter. So I'll be passing it on again to Mrs Cranston, and she's got the next chapter for you. I think you might know what he's going to do next because I've just given you a clue. He needs to dissolve all of those pills, doesn't he? Today's task or challenge, if you want to do it, you don't have to do it, but if you want to do it, today's challenge is to make a delicious medicine, to make a grandma lovely. So not all the horrible rotten things that George put in, not the nasty pills, not the yucky oil and shoe polish, but all the things that could make grandma sweet, because I think that's what she maybe needs. She needs to be made sweeter. So what can you think that's sweet? Have a think. Honey, sugar, syrup, condensed milk, that's really sweet. Oh, they're just from the kitchen. What else could we think of? Rose petals, I'm not going to say anything else. You have a think and see what you can think that's sweet and tasty, that would make a fabulous medicine for making a grandma sweet and cuddly. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.